Elite Motivation brings you EM Healing, a space to create the conversation, to open up places within ourselves that we've never had conversations about. Season 4 invites you to listen in on our multi co-host lineup to open up the conversation with myself, Mahatma Starseed.
I'm just I'm just so impressed. I'm so impressed with like the energy that gets to come towards me and like freely and willingly and in alignment.
So far, Season 4 has welcomed co-host Sierra Weatherington on our special edition about domestic violence.
The rekindling. Sometimes the rekindling doesn't mean like, oh, we're great now. We talked it out. We'll be friends again, or we'll get back together. And that's not the case.
Jim D. Weaver, all about diving into our triggers.
37 years now. I was meditating and I was really attached to the state of bliss. I really thought meditation was about being in bliss, and I was very attached to it.
Barbara with conflict resolution.
Clues that, okay, this is my lesson here. When I'm triggered, here's my lesson. And so we take a look at what we're seeing out there. What is that very thing that's triggering us?
Susanna Stokes, healing the warrior within.
Was the realization that I had was that like we gotta stop fighting.
Yeah.
And war, like one mantra that just kept coming through was war doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work the way we thought it would. It doesn't, it hasn't been working. Maybe it did for, a couple thousand years at the very beginning, but now.
And Gail Lynn, the power of self-healing.
Rubbing it on the leg that was the most paralyzed. One she could kind of move, the other one she couldn't feel or move. And I thought, this is strange. And I'm thinking, is she going to bite her? Like,
join us as we step into this week's new episode with our new co-host, Robert Bray. This is a special edition, Healing How We Activate Our Emotional Response System. Great day. Welcome. I am Mahatma Starseed. You are tuning into EM Healing, and we are here to bring to you another amazing healing episode. I have with me a great co-host to spend this next 40 minutes unraveling more ways to keep ourselves healthier, brighter, and vibrant. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Robert Bray. And I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit more. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, I'm really excited to be here because this is exactly where I'm at in my life, is doing this kind of thing. I'm 73 years old. I have been doing work with people since I was 21, since I was 20. And I am currently I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I have a PhD in psychology, and I still do clinical work. I'm working with a range of people with all kinds of problems. But one of the things where I'm at in my life is I want to be able to share with the knowledge that's been given to me. About 25 years ago, 1996, I took a course with Dr. Roger Callahan, who's a psychologist who is the originator, the innovator of energy psychology, of what a lot of people refer to now as tapping. And that is stimulating meridian treatment points by tapping on those points with your fingertip in a specific order. So I've been doing this a long time, and part of what I want to make sure is that I can spread this information to more people, because what you get when you do this, when you tap in the right order, is you get an immediate response in terms of your feelings and your emotions. And that's what we need to do to be able to make change in our life, is to be able to calm down enough, be able to relax enough to allow the top of our brain to engage so we can think, analyze, and arrive at some plans for the action that we need to take to make our lives and the lives of those we love better. So I could go on for a long time. You need to, I have a 4-day workshop that I do on this stuff. And so it's like you push the button, you got to kind of focus me a little here.
I hear that. I hear that. I'm soaking it all in. I'm soaking it all in. I absolutely love the tapping was actually one of the first healing modalities that I came into contact with. I believe it's Nick Pelosi. I always tear up these people's names.
Do you remember, was it EFT, emotional freedom technique, or TFT, thought field therapy? Or was it the which one?
The EFT.
Okay, which is very common these days. It's the most exposed form of doing meridian treatment point therapy there is. And it's quite effective. And we have lots of research that says very effective. There's over 200 journal peer-reviewed articles and research study has been done. If you're into that kind of stuff, there's been 5 meta-analyses that say tapping energy psychology is the best way to deal with PTSD, post-traumatic stress issues, and other kinds of anxiety issues. So yeah, I'm glad you've had the experience. I hope it was good for you.
Yes. Yeah, it has been good. You know, I went to school for health and life coach training, and tapping was one of the exercises that we would share with our clients to help them with that relieving of the stress. And I can tell you the immediate alleviation that you just feel with giving your body attention is so profound. It really can transform your life within minutes, you know, especially for those that are really looking and seeking to find that higher value of life and less of that pull down weight. And so as you were talking, it led me to like really want to share about where I am at physically, mentally. I didn't share this with you before, but when I started EM healing, one of the reasons why I started it was because I was healing. My coaching business is called Elite Motivation411, and I ended up experiencing a concussion back in 2019. And so here, EM healing was born because Elite Motivation needs some healing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, here we are with understanding how to embrace ourselves. I was in a place, this was before COVID. I was already in isolation 6 months before everybody else.
Oh, man.
And I needed to do something with my time. I just couldn't let it keep me back. And I stepped into these conversations, and I can tell you right now, I'm still healing from my concussion, because you got to learn what it is that creates these things. And unfortunately for me, I've had a couple of more since then.
I'm sorry.
All due to, you know, trying and attempting to live through this experience we call life, which is like very fast. It's very fast. And learning how to still reel yourself back while everything is like, you know, that's where that balance, that touch and go comes into play. And I'm thankful for my experience with the concussion. Do I love it? Absolutely. Do not like being slow. Do not like that. But it allowed me to create some empathy, because before that, I never really had any ailments. It's very difficult for me to see life on the sadder side of things.
Yeah.
And so when I got there, I was like, oh, wow, this is what it feels like for people.
You just have to pay attention to what it takes to survive.
Yeah.
And then you start to do that. You know, and my approach to dealing with people is that whatever the behavior is that you're struggling with, you have it for a reason. That whatever's going on, you came to that decision to operate in that way because it's how you survive. That's what the nature of the beast is is to survive. And that's what our bodies and brains are designed to do. And sometimes it's like people can't make sense out of why are you doing that? Well, it's because it's the best choice in front of you to survive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I always take a pro-symptom position in terms of psychotherapy. It's a concept that simply means that there's a reason that you do these things that you think are dysfunctional, that you think are getting in your way. And they may be getting in your way, they may be dysfunctional, but you didn't choose to do them because it was like, oh, this will be fun. You chose to do that because it was the best way to ensure your survival at that moment.
Yeah. It was very vital to be in conversations talking about healing and how people were able to get through challenges and helping, offering a space to where like this is a space where you can actually talk about how you got through something. And so that you can discern and decipher what was just surviving and what did I heal.
And what does that look like now? How does that change as we go through this process of healing? It's interesting because for many years I always had the approach that says when I'm working with somebody, if I can help them heal whatever's happened to them, their body, their inner wisdom, their spirit will lead them to what is next for them in the direction that they need to go. And so that's why I say, people ask me about what I do, and it's weird because depending on who they are, what's going on, but for a lot of times I was saying, just think of me on the highway, on the journey of your life, that when you get sideswiped, when you end up in the ditch, I'm the tow truck. I'm the guy who's going to come along and pull you out and put you back on the road. Now, where that road goes or how you do it, I don't know. But that's how I think of the work that I've always done, because I started in this field doing crisis intervention, which is when people have events that overwhelm their normal coping patterns, their normal style that they do things. Doesn't work anymore. You got to try something different. And that's when you're broke down. And so there's a lot of things you can do to help people when they find themselves going, I can't get up, I can't get out, I can't give up that feeling, that fear just won't leave me. And then that's where you want to help them be able to make those changes so they can get back on the road, back on their journey.
Yes, it's very true. And so before we hopped on this conversation, we were deliberating, pre-recording, and you were sharing with me about the crisis management intervention. I think you was talking about the hotlines.
Oh yeah, where I started in the field.
Right, that's what started for you.
Right.
And you also were speaking about your social worker.
And a PhD in psychology. And I have also done some work in policy development and trying to, improve the interface between the person and the community. So just quickly, I'll tell you that the way I think about how I do the work with people and how professionals, mental health professionals, and other professionals, I think it falls into three categories. Either you're doing crisis intervention, which is something has landed on you, and it's like what was working before isn't working and you can't function. And the job of crisis intervention is to get you back to your previous level of functioning. So it's like I have done work, disaster response work, where I'll show up 2 days after a hurricane, and there'll be a community of people who are like, I don't know what I'm going to do, or somebody who's been caught in a wildfire. Suddenly the things that worked don't work because the situation, the circumstances changed terribly.
Yeah.
The job then of the crisis interventionist is to be able to get you back functioning. Not functioning better, not functioning worse, but back to your ability to tune into how you take care of yourself and the people you love. So that's crisis intervention. And we have tapping for that. Now, the other piece of it is then sometimes people find themselves in need of longer term support, making changes in their lives. And this is where counseling comes in. Say you're working with somebody who has domestic violence in their life. And okay, so you've helped them overcome the crisis of the moment. They've in a safe place. They've made some changes, but now they're going to need support because they got to go to court or they got to make move to a different place in the world. Now, all of that requires that somebody is going to sit with you and help you figure out what's next. So that's the problem-solving kind of function of counselors, is to move you along and give you new tools, to give you new skills, and to support you. The bigger piece is support you as you do that. Now, that's the counseling part. Now, the third part of this, I promise not to go on too long here. The third part of it is when you're working in this field, is what I call psychotherapy, which is that you're not just dealing with getting the person back to functioning at the level they were. You're not just about helping them learn how to take the skills they have and move forward. You're changing at a fundamental level the way they perceive the world, the way they experience the world, and the way they respond to the world. And to do that means you have to go back and help the person identify what set up those original perceptions in the first place. What are those things that trigger you into a state where you can't function, where the top of your brain doesn't work, you can't think, and you're just reacting and responding? That's psychotherapy, when you're helping people change how they perceive the world and how they respond to those perceptions of the world.
Right.
So generally, and a lot of times the problem is you got to know what your client wants and where they're at. Because if you try to do psychotherapy with somebody who's just going, I just need to calm down enough to drive home, psychotherapy doesn't mean anything to them, right?
Right.
So you have to know what it is that they're trying to do. And that's why I always start with, so what do you want to change? If things went well and I was of assistance to you, what would change in the next hour? How would you understand things differently? How would you respond to things differently? How would you change the world outside of you? And how would it be different? And that's the key.
Right. And it's very important for specialists like ourselves to have these conversations, because there's some people out there that they haven't done enough work in the healing sector to have 100% respect for it. And sometimes people like to use healing modalities as in place of like coping. And it drives me crazy when someone's I needed to spend the weekend healing. And it's like, you need to spend more than a weekend healing.
And you need to recognize what you have to change with you. Because, it's interesting. Most of the time I find that people come to me and the fundamental question in my mind is this a you problem or is this a them problem? So because if the problem is the way you're perceiving it, if the problem is the way you're responding to it, that just perpetuates it, that's a you problem. But if the problem is that, I can't walk on a street and be safe because people are coming at me, and that's real because of racism, because of sexism, because of the political world that they live in, you know what? That's a them problem. And we got to figure out how we change them. But oftentimes before we can do that, we have to figure out how we can change you so you're strong enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. Our response is very important.
Oh, yeah.
Our response to our situations literally define the thoughts that come next, the experience that comes next. And one of the exercises that I would do with my groups would be a 3-person exercise. I usually do not, I've never shared this before, but we're going to share it today. And so there's one person is the person that shares.
Right.
The second person is the person that responds.
Yes.
And then the third person is the witness.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And so the goal was for everyone to be who they say they're going to be. So if you're the sharer, you're here to share.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not here to do anything else. Just share. And then once that person's done sharing, the responder needs to come in and respond to what was shared.
And to see what's going on.
A lot of people would like to, what I like to call trauma bond, and bring up their own situation. Well, that's not so much responding to the other person.
Right, because you just got triggered yourself, and you're ready to, you're starting to respond in that triggered kind of way, which does not help anybody.
Does it?
And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, when I do trainings with people about teaching them how to do thought field therapy, how to do tapping, and I break them up to practice, I always practice in triads, because what I say is, okay, we don't role play. This is real. Somebody pick something you want to work on. Somebody else is going to be the helper who's going to lead you through the tapping. And the third person's job is to watch like a hawk.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're doing it the way you should do it. And also to be able to observe what's missing there, you know? So I'm very much into I've done a lot of training in my life, and I stopped doing dyads in terms of practice and that kind of stuff early on, because what I found was just exactly what you say, which is somebody says something, the other person gets triggered, and then they forget what it is they're supposed to be doing. You know, I think you're right on with that. And there's something about being, for many years when I did trauma work, because I'm a traumatic stress specialist, for many years, the best work that I felt that could be done was to bear witness to the violence. So somebody would be telling me about a beating, or somebody would be telling me about the pain inflicted on a loved one or whatever. Oftentimes, simply being able to be present and not get overwhelmed by my own feelings and bear witness to what's going on is healing in and of itself. Because in that moment, they get to recognize that what happened to them was real, that anybody can understand that thing, and to know that they're not alone in it. And to me, that bearing witness is the piece of saying, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Other people have felt this, and that to me is one of the most healing things you could do. And for many years, that was the best you could do with trauma.
Yeah.
Bear witness.
When I did those exercises, you actually see the people more engaged, excited. They have an understanding of their role in that moment. And it's really about helping people get that response out that they want.
Right. I do a whole thing talking about how post-traumatic stress kills, because I think it's important for people to be aware of that. And there's two conditions that when post-traumatic stress becomes really dangerous in that sense. And that's when you're working with somebody, and if they're thinking about suicide, okay, who cares? I mean, that's a normal thinking response. But the problem is when they then begin to think about it in a way that they're planning it, that they're arranging to do it, that they have intention. Now you need to intervene immediately, whether that's you lock them up or you love them. You got to do something. But the idea here is that when people who have traumatic stress are at risk most for dying, is when two conditions exist. And those are, one, isolation, and two, hopelessness. And when you've got both of those things going at the same time, you've got somebody who is teetering on the edge of something that doesn't work. If you're not isolated, if you have a loved one, if you have somebody there who says, I love you, you're loving me, we're connected, it's that connection, then they're going to find hope in that connection. And so the risk goes down. If you find somebody who is truly isolated, but who can find a place, who can come to saying, I have hope that there is a way to be different, or you've just shown me some hope for something to be different. And maybe that hope is just the simplest tapping, so they can see that it's possible to change. Then
Right.
the risk goes way down. So it is dangerous when people get into those triggered states with severe kinds of things behind them.
Yeah. So I was talking about
Yeah.
you. I was talking about you, and I was getting refreshed with meeting with you today. And I said this out loud because I was talking to one of my associates, and I was like, he works with PTSD and he helps people get through it. And my son came out of nowhere and was like, you can't help people with PTSD. You can't get rid of it. Like,
I hate to I've done this with many people. And the idea is to not get rid of the PTSD. The idea is to not let the PTSD run your life.
yeah.
And that's the thing that people need to understand is when we tap, when we're trying to help people with therapy, psychotherapy, or whatever, we're not trying to say to them, don't have your feelings or don't remember your feelings. No, that's who you are. That's part of your story. What we want you to know is that those feelings don't need to take control of your life. And, because if you can sit with any feeling, it will change. But it's the sitting with it for a moment that makes it very difficult. And that's where the tapping comes in to help people be able to make that moment happen where they can sit with it, to recognize it and to let it heal. We all know how to heal. It's
Right.
built into our being.
Right.
So, is your son there? Bring him on. Let's tap with him. Here, let me show you how this works, how we can help your son.
Honestly, I think he said it half serious and the other half trying to trigger me.
Oh, really? Trying to make you feel powerless, huh? Oh, God.
Right. Because, they know I do this. I have healing stuff all over the place. And they respect, what I'm doing. They don't really seek to like be the distraction in the background. And so I like the fact that he felt comfortable to say that to me, and I like the fact that I didn't get offended.
Well, and that because that this is really, when he's saying that kind of stuff, it's about his journey.
Yeah.
He may be being critical of your journey in his little way, but it's more about his journey.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult. And until you have an experience of it, until you actually acknowledge that something has happened in your body, in your feelings, in your sensations, in your expressions, you don't buy it. I mean, the first time somebody showed me tapping, I just looked at him, rolled my eyes, and was like, yeah, like I'm gonna do that with somebody, But because he was a friend and a colleague who I respected, it was like he said, try this. And so I did. And I had that internal experience, and I said, something just happened. And something that just happened in a way that wouldn't happen just with him. Because again, he was a good man, he was competent, but just his sitting talking to me would have not have made that happen. And so and until you have that experience that there's something different, you're not going to believe it's different.
Yeah.
So
very true.
So Mahatma, one of the things I like to do is I like to take people through some tapping.
Okay.
So they can see what it looks like. And I'm wondering if maybe there's something that I could help you with. If you think about some of these traumas that have happened to you in the past, clearly you've done a lot of work on them. And clearly it's there. What I would ask you to do is pick a tough one here, something that when you bring it to mind, when you create the thought field, you experience it, that you still feel the emotional distress, the physical sensation of disease in yourself. And if you could pick, and you don't have to tell us what it is. That's the other beauty of tapping that I love, is it doesn't require that people disclose before they're ready to disclose or to trust before they're ready to trust. But if you could just pull up one of those things in your mind that when it comes up, you still feel that discomfort. You got something?
For sure. We spoke about my concussions.
Yeah. And are you thinking about when the concussions occurred? Are you thinking about when the doctor says you have a concussion? Are you thinking about when somebody said you can't do that anymore, or when you just couldn't stand the pain of it?
Standing the pain of it.
Okay. So are you thinking of a specific event?
Recent.
Okay. And when you feel that recent event in your body, do you feel the discomfort with it? Whether it's the actual pain, or whether it's the sadness, or it's the anxious, however you feel, how do you feel?
I would say it feels like sadness for the pain.
Okay, so it's more the sadness at this point, and you feel that in your chest here. On a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no sadness at all, and 10 being the worst sadness that you experience, where would you put that experience in this moment? And I'm just going to ask you to stay with it a few minutes, and I won't leave you there. I promise you that.
I would say it's like a strong 7.
Okay. So what I would like you to do is we're going to try a couple different things, but I'm going to do the most basic thing we do. In thought field therapy, we have 14 different tapping patterns that we can use. In EFT, there's one tapping pattern, but I'm sure you've done EFT with us. So what I'm going to do to ask you to do that, and so we can do that, one of those patterns. Or the other thing I can do is I can connect energetically with you and let your body lead me through the pattern. Now, the way that happens is you would allow me to become a surrogate for you energetically. So all you would have to say is, that's okay for you to test for me energetically.
It's okay.
All right. So what you're going to see is I'm going to do it with my finger here. So just say my name is Mahatma.
My name is Mahatma.
See, I get a strong response. Say my name is George.
My name is George.
I don't get any response because there's no strength there. Okay. So this is the most basic way to talk about this. But what I want you to do now is go back to that event that's connected to the sadness. Say this event.
This event.
Say, I want to heal this event.
I want to heal this event.
Okay. Just check and see you're not reversed. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some tapping. And what I'd like you to do is tap at the beginning of the eyebrow. And I'm finding specific points to tap by touching alarm points on my body under the eye and testing. And if I get a strong response, then I have you tap that point, tiny finger. So this is the more advanced training. This is not just using standard tapping patterns. I want you to tap on the outside of your eye here. And then tap on your index finger. Let's see. Under the arm, middle of your rib cage, about where your bra comes across. And then under the collarbone. And say, healing this event.
Healing this event.
See, now I get a strong test when I wasn't getting it before. Now, this is part of it. So, but let's stop for a second and just, I would ask you to go back to that sadness, whatever that feeling was in your body. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate that sadness now?
Definitely feels lighter. Feel like I'm at a 5.
Okay, so it was a direction. Okay, so what we're going to do is go on to the next thing. So you're going to tap on the back of your hand here between the pinky finger and the ring finger, about a half an inch towards your wrist. And you're going to keep tapping there while you do 9 things. You're going to close your eyes for a moment. Open your eyes. With your eyes, look down and to the left. Keep tapping. With your eyes, look down and to the right. Now whirl your eyes in a big circle all the way around the room. Very good. 2 things at once. All right, now whirl your eyes the other direction. Now hum.
Mhm.
And then count 1, 2, 3. We're shifting the thought to different sides of the brain.
1, 2, 3.
And then hum again. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to go back, tap the beginning of the eyebrow. Tap under the eye. Tap on the little finger. Index finger. Underarm. Under collarbone. Now, what's happening is your body, through this energetic connection, is telling me, giving me information about what order you need to tap in to affect healing in this particular situation, condition. So I'd ask you now to go back and think about the event. And if you can, think about it the same way you were before.
Chills.
And then notice what you feel.
Definitely feels a lot lighter, like some energy moved.
Good. Now, I'm just going to ask, because I don't know you well enough. I can see the change in the expression in your face. I can hear there's a quality in your voice. I don't know you well enough to really know. So that's why we go back to, on that 1 to 10 scale, where would you put the discomfort now?
It's definitely went down a little bit more. It's like a 4.5. Don't feel that pressure as much in my chest.
Okay. See, and there's a lot of thoughts going on with you as you do this, because you're going, whoa, what was that? And the thing I don't know you well enough to know, is that happening because you're generating a new thought field? As this comes down, you start to be aware of some other things. And those other things might need some tapping, but the tapping pattern may be different. So, you know, this is just for demonstration. I want you to know that, you know, if you learn thought field therapy, you'll be able to do this at a greater depth, and you'll be able to continue to work with it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
It's beautiful.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely beautiful. It's right on time for the stage in my healing that I am in.
Good. That's wonderful to hear that came together.
I'm happy I did some eye exercises this week to be able to do the circle.
Oh, I should have asked before. I forgot. You know, I've worked with people with concussion stuff before, and it's like you mess with their eyes. That's a bad thing. Yeah.
Right. But I have
good.
already my eyes have been messed with already for 2
Yeah.
days.
Okay. But there's a whole series of things that we could do. If you were my client, I would be saying, let's spend some more time doing this and use muscle testing to decide what else could we work with. Sometimes it's a direct physiological healing. Sometimes it's connections of that to a trigger. There's lots of possibilities.
Yes, definitely. I can definitely say I feel the energy moving. I will say I am more open energetically than most people. I always like to try to give that disclaimer, because a lot of people, it takes a little bit longer for those impressions to set in. But like we were saying at the beginning, Robert beautifully said, your thoughts are what going to help you navigate through this. And
Right.
I can tell you that my concussion definitely helped me to see how much depression can't really live around me. Like,
oh yeah.
I attempted to sit in depression, and my body is like, we don't live there. So I don't even understand why you're trying to go there. So that's how open my body is to remaining uplifted.
Right. And I think that what I say to anybody who comes to see me, which is, you don't have to believe in anything. You don't have to believe in anything I'm saying. I just want you to be curious enough, to be open enough to consider what is happening in this moment inside of you. Because that's the evidence that really matters is, did something happen in you? And if it does, then you want to pursue that. If it doesn't, then you tell me and we find something that will help you.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. So we have had a wonderful conversation.
Oh my God, it's come to that.
Yeah, I have gotten some healing out of this. On top of the healing conversation, I would say we are 2 for 2. We are winning today, Robert.
Good. Well, and what I want to offer you an invitation. People need to know that I really want to teach people this. I have a 2-hour a week live online training that I do starting in January, that you come for 2 hours. And at the end of those 5 weeks, you have the basic skills in doing thought field therapy to use for yourself, the people you love, the people you work with. And so that's available to people. My website is RL Bray. That's my name, at rlbray.com is my email. My website is rlbray.com. And you can do that. Now, the other thing that this is really the more expansive thing I do is I do a 4-day training, 4 days live in San Diego. And we learn how to do everything that Dr. Callahan taught me, plus a lot more. So we'll teach you how to do the muscle testing stuff, and it doesn't matter where you start, you can do it. And we teach you how to use the standard protocols that Dr. Callahan developed, and we teach you how to use muscle testing to guide you in how you help your clients heal. So please, if you find it useful and you have the resources to come to San Diego, come see it.
Yes.
Be part of it.
California is where it's at for these healing modalities. Boy, oh boy.
Well, and if you are into healing, there's also another place. The Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology does an annual conference. This year, we're going to be in Arizona. It's 3-4 days. Actually, if you do the pros conference, 5 days of exceptionally renowned healers. These are the people who've written the books about healing in all forms and all shapes. They come, they present. People who've been doing this work for decades come and present, and you get to interact and work together. It's a wonderful experience. We usually have 300-400 people. And that's available at www.energypsych.org, or email me. I'll send you the link.
Beautiful. Yes, the information for all contact to get to Robert will be down in the description below.
Mm-hmm.
I have had such an amazing conversation. Of course, it went and flew by, as I expected. And I just wanted to be able to leave the audience with just one empowered tip that you can leave for, maybe they're starting to get curious now. What is one thing that they can start practicing at home to get comfortable with expressing more healing sound?
One of the other things I want to offer is part of dealing with post-traumatic stress, and that's where most of it comes from, is being able to know where you're at on your journey of recovery. On my website, you'll see a tab that says, "Where are you on your journey?" And it's 9 questions that we ask you to rate. And then we're going to send you information about where you're at in your journey of recovery. And I'll send you some tapping information and some other things that might be useful to you. That's available when you go to my website. Yeah, do the healing journey assessment. And that is a good place to start. And I give you the basic standard tapping pattern that we use for traumatic stress. So that's there. So what I would say to you is, if you're aware that you're not where you want to be, take some action. Now, that action can be doing something with me or doing something with you, but don't give up, because healing is possible. It happens all the time, and you're not alone.
You're not alone. You're definitely not. And I love the thoughts that come to me, especially with engaging with our conversation. I have like really cool thoughts. So what comes to me, my empowered tip is with what Robert was saying, once you're getting to that place of seeking out, and you're not just ready there and you're working on getting there, you can get a journal and just start writing down some stuff that are coming up for you, so that when you do come and sit with a professional expert, you can just start naming some stuff and you don't have to re-drudge it up.
Right.
I think that helps as well. Pre-planning.
Oh, yes.
Get you an A.
And gets a lot more done in the time you have. Yeah.
Right? Because you only have an hour. Maybe 90, but still, there's so much for us to unfold, and we are not here to rush you, but we definitely want to be able to hit some key points when we are sitting in a session, or whenever you are sitting in a session with someone. This has been beautiful. Thank you so much. I am going to take this moment to close out the show. I really appreciate everyone that has tuned into today's episode. And if you are looking for more to find out from me and Robert, our description info is down below. If you're looking to learn more about Elite Motivation, you can find out there, as well as you can learn more about Mahatma Starseed's sound healing music. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, wherever you stream, you're most likely going to find me. Just put in Mahatma Starseed and you'll see my albums show up. Until next time, keep on healing. Thank you so much, Robert, for showing up and sharing.
Thank you.
Peace and light, everyone. How intriguing was that clip? Looking for more of our EM Healing platform to listen to more EM Healing full-length episodes? Join us on Patreon to get access and more content and more healing support. You can find the link in the show description. See you there.